So actually, in preparation for this call, I was looking at different suicide rates in different countries between genders and things like that. And I was wondering if you had any insights, because it seemed like it was between like 3 or 4 on the low end, like men to women, 3 or 4 to 1, and then 7 to 1 in countries like Russia and Poland. And do you have any insights why? Because it seems maybe culturally, why there are more suicides in those countries. I mean, like, it does seem like Poland and Russia would be really pushing the limits on the binary between men and women. So it kind of speaks to a lot of things that we're saying, but I'm wondering if you had any insights on that.
Mm. I mean, I haven't done any research on that specifically. I could say what I think potentially based on our findings, which I would always be interested in what are the cultural norms around male emotions in those contexts? What are the cultural norms around male failure and success? And what are the cultural norms around men's relationship needs in those contexts? So, are men allowed to have deep connection with their emotions? Is there some are men allowed to have intimate, meaningful connections with other people? How much rigidity is there around ideas of male success? And I would speculate, I don't know, that in those countries there may be it, using the therapist language of like, I would say that they are potentially those three areas very tightly screwed in terms of what men are able to be in those spheres.
Right.
Um, I do just want to say as well, because I was thinking this idea of belonging, I think it's so vital. And I think that we really have to ask ourselves, how are we representing masculinity in the public sphere? I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. Masculinity is so it's such a broad church of so many things, and as it should be. But when we talk about masculinity in general terms, because Michael, you belong to men, I belong to women. Whether we there's things that we like or dislike about the fact that we belong, like that's what happened from how we were born and choose to identify that you belong to men.
Right.
And so for the people that belong to the Church of Men, if the Church of Men is being spoken about in the public sphere as a church full of violent, toxic, dangerous, destructive
Right.
people that want to drag us backwards, then what does that do for all the men that are in that church about their sense of belonging to that church? Does that make sense? And
Right.
so we have to create space, so if a preacher comes along and goes, I'm building a new church where you can do A, B, C, and D, and we're going to celebrate masculinity, and then, I can see the temptation to leave that church and go to the one where I'm going to have some sense of potential pride and dignity, or somebody that wants to try and give me some of that,
Totally.
because all of us need that in some way. And I think that there's a real collective reflection that we need to do about what kind of church of masculinity we're allowing to be in the public sphere, and what spaces, particularly for young boys, we're giving to celebrate their masculinity, to give them hope and optimism and pride about their masculinity, about what role masculinity can play in. Because, Michael, the world's on fire. There's so many challenges that we face, and we now as a species are exposed to them on a level through like our technological advances. We're exposed to them on a level that we didn't have before. So we're more psychologically burdened with this awareness of all the problems that humanity is facing.
Mm-hmm.
And we need all of our collective like brilliance to try and navigate a path out of that. And there has to be some role within that of for what masculinity can do to, which also has to be allowed to be expansive and expressive and different, allow for different very different masculine identities to have a place within it.